Hi Andy, great to get some more footage off you. Apologies for the slight delay in getting this across to you. As I explained in my email the other day, I've been suffering from the old man flu a little bit. So anyway, back to full strength now, feeling a lot better and ready to get stuck into this swing of yours. I think it's a nice comparison here, because what I've done is I've pulled up on the top right the first footage you ever sent across to me, using something like a 6-iron. Whilst I appreciate this new footage with the driver, you'll see some nice changes, some sort of movements in the right direction. That's the key thing here. It's a journey towards where we want to be, and you're making strides in the right direction. Everything you've been working on is harder to do with a driver. So when you're doing it with a driver, you've got to do it more, and you've got to do it for longer. So the fact that this driver swing is going to be moving more in the correct direction than we saw with the 6-iron in the initial swing means that with an iron in our hand, we're going to be even nearer to it. So just bear that in mind. So whilst it may not look the finished article, it is moving in the correct direction. So what we've got is, we have our model here down on the bottom left, and remember that that's all it is a model. We're picking pieces out of this swing that we want to try and introduce into our own. Now the first thing was trying to keep the handle down, and you can see on the top left here, sorry, that you're doing a much better job of the handle being down at setup, and it's staying down as you initiate the backswing. What we saw previously was a handle that wasn't quite as far down. You can see on the top right that the handle sits sort of slightly above the belt, whereas now we're much more on the belt line. Jacket's a little bit misleading, but we're a little bit more on the belt line than we were. And then as we started the backswing, the handle of the club, just miss it there because of the frames per second, but the handle of the club historically would lift there, and as the handle lifts, you can see the head starts to go up quite quick. And we talked about the throwaway in the wrists, and the club working very much behind us and very much at this stage open. Now you would expect to see less of that with an iron than a driver anyway. So if we take a little look at your driver swing now, you can see that the head doesn't lift as quick, the hands don't roll as much, the club isn't moving behind us as much. If you look at it in relation to the playing line now, it's less behind and it's less open. Now with 6-iron, that will be even less behind and even less open because of the way we're bent forward from the hips at setup, etc. So the fact that we've improved that when we're comparing a 6-iron to a driver is fantastic. So you're making great strides. Accumulator 3 is loading much less. Even again with the driver here, we've got a much better pitch in the shoulders than we had previously with a 6-iron. So the shoulders working down and around much more, which is a byproduct of accumulator 3 loading in a more appropriate manner. If we compare that to Charlie in the blue shirt, we can see that everything's just done a little bit more and for a little bit longer. So that would be our model, if you will. That's the model swing that we're trying to work on, but moving more towards that sort of position. So keep working on what you're working on. Keep exaggerating. Don't be frightened of overdoing it. You cannot overdo this. Hopefully at some point you'll be able to visit and we'll do a one-on-one session, or I can visit you and we can do some sessions, and you know, I can actually illustrate how much you can exaggerate this without getting it sort of, you know, a little bit OTT. You just can't overdo this at this moment in time, but moving much more in the general direction that you would want to go. If we then take a little look at it at P3 compared to where we were, we're starting to see some huge changes here now. Look how much less sort of laid deep that shaft is now. The wrists are setting a little bit more. Accumulator 3 has been loaded at a more appropriate rate, so the shaft is starting to steepen. We then continue to play your swing, your current swing, to P4. Though you're seeing the effects of over rotating accumulator 3, but again a fuller position at the top. So what you're see with Charlie is very little loading of 3 to P2, which is waist level with the shaft, followed by quite a lot of loading of 3 all the way to P4, which is giving him that laid off look. On this one now, we throw the club off dramatically. Still a little bit of throw off, but not as much as before. Now what I'm seeing here is a little bit of over flexing, or quite a lot of over flexing of the right knee. So what should happen is the right knee should return to its address flex and should never really go beyond that point. Your right knee, should I say, sorry, not left knee, continues to flex. And that's opening everything up and causing you to come across the golf ball. And it's something that you've always done, really. If we're watching on this one, the right knee over flexes, and then we push up a little bit too late. Whereas with Charlie, what we're going to see is a right knee that returns into its address flex before he then starts to push up off the ground. You can see there, just after P7, about P7.5, this right leg nice and straight, and the body hasn't opened up excessively. So what I'd like you to concentrate on doing before you send me the next footage is continue to work and exaggerate the pieces that you're working on in your backswing. And then I'd like you to work on a drill where we set ourselves up as normal, and then once we're in, just get this swing up here for you on the full screen. Once you're in your sort of desired setup position, get rid of my lines, then what I'd like you to do is set up as normal, then completely straighten the right leg. And your goal is to keep the right leg straight throughout the whole of the swing. We know it's going to straighten on the way back, so we're putting the backswing position in there to start with. Your goal now, however, is from P4 down and through to keep that right leg as straight as possible. The act of doing that is going to long-term retard the rate at which that right knee flexes. It's going to allow your hips to, how can I put it, it's going to restrict the amount that your hips can open up. When the right knee flexes too much, the hips rotate too fast, the body opens up too quick, the arms get pulled out in front of us. So it's going to retard that and give you the feeling of the hips being further forward and less rotated during the downswing. I've done quite a lot of work with a guy called Mark Ramsdale on this, and if you watch his last sort of 2 or 3 recaps that I've put up there on YouTube, forget his last one, I think his last one was to do with pitching and chipping. It's quite a good one to watch if you want to learn about that, but predominantly the 2 before that were about controlling the rate at which the right knee was flexing. Some nice drills and exercises on there. One of his key thoughts is to keep the right knee straight from P4, top of the backswing, to P6, delivery position. So no flexing of the right knee during the downswing. It's just a drill. It's in the book. Keep the right knee flexed. It's also on blog 5 that I did the drills and exercises. Maybe take a little look at me demonstrating that. I do explain in there that for me it's the best all-around drill for stack and tilt. I thought that in 2010 when I did the blogs, and I still think that today. I think it's a fabulous drill for a lot of aspects of the model. So continue to overdo the things that we've been working on and suggesting in the backswing from P1 to P2. Really get it in there. You're moving in the right direction. You make great strides. You've got to be happy looking at that comparison between your original swings and your current swing. What we've got to do now is start controlling what the right knee does during the downswings. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. If you want to set up a call, like I say, feel free, and hopefully one day we can get together and do some one-on-one sessions. Good luck with it, and keep up the good work.